Okay, oh, let me take my glasses off. I really need to get the glasses that don't have the glare. I think that's a thing because I really can't see. Hello booktube world. I'm Capri Nicole and I'm back with another video. So this is a typical booktube video. Everybody does this every year, child. Best of 2021, worst of 2021. I only had like I think 8 worst books, and I made a list of the best books of 2021 and I had 22. But I know I talk too much, especially if it's something that I'm very passionate about. So if we're talking about best or worst, I know I'm gonna go on a spiel. So I had to chop that bad boy down to, so I basically got rid of 10 books. I'm gonna talk about 12 books today, and let me know in the comment section below if you read any of them. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get into the video. If you hear noise in the background, it's my turtle. I don't know what Pebs has going on today, but she is just splashing around and making a whole bunch of noise. So usually you just hear water running, but today she's being rambunctious, so please do not mind her. The first book that I have on my favorites of 2021 was Spin the Dawn, and I really love this book. It follows the main character who is in a very small town. Her brothers are sent to war and they come back very different from what she's used to, but her father is a well-known seamstress, and women aren't respected or seen to be respected enough to be a seamstress. There's like some type of competition to be the king's next seamstress, or the soon-to-be queen's next seamstress. So only men can compete though, but her brother is definitely not up to par to do that. So she takes the identity of her brother and she goes to the palace, and this is big fashion competition, and I just lived for it. Like, I had such a fun time. I really enjoyed her character. I enjoyed the drama. It was very cutthroat. It was just the fashion in it mixed in with magical realism, and it just was like the descriptions, it just was like so fun. I just had such a fun time reading it, and I'm a very imaginative person, so like when something's described to me really well, I just see the pictures. I know some book readers, when they read something, they don't see anything, but some book readers actually visualize things. So like, I'm one of the visualizers, so the descriptions of these clothes were just like so beautiful to me, and I just had so much fun reading it. And it was just like a competition and just cutthroat, and just people were just being shady and just doing everything they could to win this competition, and it was just a good time. I really just wish it was a standalone. There is a second book. I do have the second book. I haven't read it yet, but it really could have just been a standalone. Nevertheless, that is number 1. Okay, the second book that I have as my favorites is, let me drink some of this kombucha, you know what I'm saying? Your girl loves kombucha, okay? Every day, gotta have one every day. At least during the weekdays. This is almost done. Lemon Berry. I know it's not for everyone, but I love kombucha so much. The next book that I have is Yolk, and this book basically follows 2 sisters who are kind of like estranged. They haven't talked to each other in a while. They're kind of just both living their own lives, and they're very different, so they don't really have a reason to keep in contact with each other until one of the sisters ends up getting cancer, and they actually need each other, and they're working through their issues. The younger sister does have an eating disorder, and she's working through that, and it's just so powerful. Like, I had such a it was a very intense read, and I think I teared up. I don't really remember. It takes a lot for me to make me cry for books. I cry instantly with movies and shows, but like with books, it takes a lot to make me cry. But yeah, I just love books with sisters in it, and just their dynamic and the things that they were dealing with, like in their day-to-day lives, friendships and school and work and everything. It's like very descriptive, very hard-hitting. I really enjoyed it, and if you have not picked it up, please pick it up. It's a quick read, because once you start reading it, you're not gonna be able to put it down because there's just so much happening. It might make you cry a little bit, but it is good. The third book that I have is Punching the Air, and I listened to this on audiobook, but I think it's following a young black man who was incarcerated wrongfully, if I'm thinking right. I can't 100% remember, but I just remember This book is written in poetry. I'm pretty sure it's written in like verse slash poetry, and the poetry is so beautiful. Like it just, oh my god, the writing in this is just amazing. If you're kind of skeptical about reading books that are in verse or reading books that have poetry or whatever, start here and listen to it on audiobook, because it was so well done, and it was sad, but it was beautiful. I love this book. I really want to get a physical copy because the cover is beautiful, and I want to just like give it to anyone that's be like, oh, what do you recommend? I'm going to give them that book. The next book that I have it's actually on my worst of 2021 too, and that is Darling. The only reason it's on my worst is because I hated there was certain things in the ending I did not like, so you're gonna have to stay tuned for that video to find out why it's on both of these lists. It's basically a Peter Pan retelling, but it's just set in today's day and age, and it was just, I just put it on my best because of the experience I had reading it. I could not put this book down because I just wanted to know what was going on. I was on the edge of my seat. I was enjoying the characters. I was enjoying just everything about it. It just was like, it just had like this creepy feel. Like I just knew something was wrong, and I just wanted to know what it was and what the hell was going on. And I just wanted to know more. And I just was like, I just wanted to finish it. I just remember just flying through this book. I just love books that I can just like eat up and just can't put down, and that was this book, definitely. I had an amazing time reading it. A little bit disappointed in the ending, but it's good. It's all good. I still really loved it. So the next book that I have is Diary of Blood, and this book was so, just the writing, like the writing, it kind of puts me in the mind of like Lonnie Taylor, like just that fluffy poetic feel, but not so dramatic. She be having like dramatic poet descriptions. It's not that dramatic, but it's just like, it feels like love letters, and it's like beautifully written, and I just, it's just so if you don't know, I'm pretty sure you do know because this is a very popular book on booktube right now and has been for a while, but it basically follows Dracula and all of his wives and love interests. It follows them coming into his world and just dealing with like abuse and disrespect and just manipulation and just but also love and disasters and like confusion, and it just, such a great book. Amazing writing. Like the writing in this book, it was one that I really loved. It was like talking about chasing after him. Is like something about fire. I put it in my Goodreads quotes. It just was one of my favorite quotes like that I've ever read. Beautiful, just chef's kiss. And I also cosplayed one of the main characters, so if you want to see that, I'm gonna put them right here. And if you don't already, follow your girl on Instagram. I think I'm at like 19K right now, but I'm trying to get more people in the book community. I'm just kind of like bouncing all over Instagram at this moment, and I just want to get more people in the book community. I have a lot of people in the book community on my page, but I also have a lot of people that aren't in the book community. Hopefully I make them want to read, but I just want to stay in my demographic. Not in my demographic, but stay in my target audience, you know? So yeah, if you don't follow your girl, please follow your girl on Instagram. Thank you. Oh, the next one that I have, it just makes me so excited. Sweat and Soap. Sweat and Soap is a manga that follows these two main characters that work in a soap company, and the male main character is like basically in charge of like finding the fragrances and stuff like that, and the female main character is in charge of billing and accounting and stuff like that. So they work for the same company, but they don't work in the same department. And she's very closed off. She's very to herself. She's very anxious. She stays away from everyone because she sweats a lot. I don't think she smells, but I think she just like sweats easily. So she kind of just like avoids everyone and just like stays in her corner because she was bullied a lot growing up. But the male main character, he has like a, I know it's gonna sound weird, but hear me out. He has like a smelling kink, and he loves her smell, and he ends up like falling for her and is interested in her and starts pursuing her, and they start dating, and it's just, this manga is just so good. It's just, it's like The first one that I read, I was like, it's a little weird, because I was just like, what the hell's going on? I had to get into it, but like the conversations in these mangas are just so good because they respect and listen to each other so much, and the dialogues are so in depth, but just so good. Like the communication, there's no miscommunication in these mangas. Everything is well fleshed out. There's so many small milestones that they're dealing with within their relationship, but it's just so perfectly done, and it's just so interesting. And just the way they talk to each other, it's just like so gentle, so understanding, and just like amazing communication. They're adorable. Like just their whole dynamic is just adorable, like very cute. She has some character development, he has some character development, they grow together. It's just and they just came out with the final volume, which I'm very sad about, but I'm hoping that he comes out with like a box set, because I read all of these on my iPad and I really want like a cute box set. Like I just want to get them all together looking cute, you know. But I love this manga so much, so if you haven't read it, please pick it up. It's very cute. Okay, so the next book that I have on my favorites of 2021 is the Bromance book club, and this was the first book that I buddy read with my boyfriend, and I've never buddy read a book with a boy before, so it just was like so cool. It was so fun. He really liked it, and it was just cute because we split up the pages and then we would come and talk about it after. And this was like the first successful like buddy read, aside from like book clubs and stuff, where it was like I teamed up with someone and we read it together, and it just was cute. So if you don't know, this book follows, I think, a married couple, and the guy is like, I think he's a child. I read this book so long ago, but the guy's like a baseball player, professional baseball player, and him and his wife got married really quickly, had kids really quickly, and he feel like he's losing his zhuzh. Like she's ready to divorce him, she's ready to start her life over as a new woman. She's just like over it, she wants a new life, but he's not ready to let her go. So he tells his friends about it. They tell him that they have this book club where they read romance books so that they can be basically better husbands, better boyfriends, and all that. And that is just so cute to me. So he starts reading these books and starts doing better as a husband, and just the plot, just everything. And they have these twin girls, and it's just so cute. Like, and it's funny because the guys in the book club are hilarious, and just the whole dynamic, the drama of the baseball wives, child, it is just too funny to me. So I just enjoyed it. I really loved the book club aspect and just the banter between the players. It just was such a good time, and I just have great memories tied to this book, so it is definitely one of my favorites of last year. Ooh, the next one that I have is Girl in the Sea, and this book follows two girls, and one of them is starting to come out and become her own person, and she lives in a very small town, so she's just like, I'm not trying to let anyone know that I'm queer. I don't want anybody in my business because it's none of y'all business. So she's trying to keep it on the low, but she ends up meeting this girl who has fallen in love with her, and I thought the girl was a mermaid, but she's actually like a seal. She's like a seal. I know it sounds weird, but it's super cute. So they met when she was younger, and I guess she has to get her to fall in love with her before like a specific amount of time. So they end up hanging out and get to know each other. And there's also the plot of like human waste and people destroying the ocean and stuff like that. Cute young queers, just like in a very adorable graphic novel. I really love this. I haven't heard anyone talk about this book, and I literally laughed out loud reading this book because there were so many funny parts. She's not used to not being in the sea, so just small things that she does is just hilarious to me. But please pick up this graphic novel because it is very underestimated and very cute. Speaking of cute, I read a book called, I think it's called The Spirit and the Gardener. It's like a cute little book that follows this town of gardeners. And I guess before, when they used to plant and garden and stuff like that, there used to be these spirits that would come, and they had specific powers that would help the plants grow better. So they would kind of work hand in hand with the humans, but the humans got to a point where they didn't really need help, so the spirits kind of just like eased back and did their own thing, but they're still in that world. There's this gardener that's struggling with like growing her flowers and growing her garden. And one of the spirits just says like, well, why don't we start helping them again? And the other spirits are just like, we don't do that anymore. So she ends up sneaking off and helping this girl grow her garden, and they end up rebuilding the friendship that humans and spirits have. All of the spirits are absolutely adorable. Like the drawings and illustrations in this are so cute. I'll just like put a little clip so you guys can see some of them, but it just was like adorable. If you want to pick something up quick and fun and adorable, then that's 3 more. So the next one that I have is a comic book, and it's called Skyward. It basically follows the earth. It follows Earth, but it loses gravity. The main character, she's only known the world without gravity. Like she's always been floating in the air, and there's a whole bunch of devices and stuff that people that are from the upper class use to stay grounded, and they're basically just acting like gravity never left. Her father is the one that predicted that gravity was going to be going away, and no one listened to him. Her father is like really good at figuring things out because he's like a scientist, but he also has, I'm not sure what this phobia is called, but he just like does not leave his house, and so he struggles with that, which was really interesting to see in a comic book, because I've never, well, I can't say I've never seen that before because I don't read a lot of comics, but I've never really seen that in books. So that was interesting to see him struggle with that. This comic book was so diverse, and it was just funny, and it had a great group of characters, and it was really interesting. I think the whole plot is really interesting, and I had a great time reading it. I already have the next one on my iPad waiting for me. I like the whole plot. Like it's really just interesting to the idea of like losing gravity, like, and it just gets really complicated because there's like bad guys. She's a badass, and it's just like fun to read along. So definitely check that out if you have not. I think I have 2 more. The next one that I have is Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson, and I listened to this on audiobook. It basically follows this girl that was accused of basically killing a child. She was like a child herself, but her mother was babysitting, and something went wrong, and the child ended up dying. She's in like a group home, so it's basically following her. Her identity was not like protected at all, even though she was really young when everything happened, and she was like accused of this crime. Her face was all over the news. People have written books about her. She's been attacked, all this crazy shit. Like she was not protected at all. And then when you see like the counter attack of like if a white child like does something wrong or whatever, in certain aspects like their identity is protected. Like it won't say like their name, or sometimes they'll blur out like pictures of them and certain things like that. It just was very interesting because I never thought about that, honestly. Like if a child ends up being a criminal, how is their identity protected and hers wasn't? And just like that whole conversation was just like crazy. But she was getting on my nerves because she was a teenager. She was messing up. A lot of things was happening where I just was like, girl, what are you doing? But the ending was so crazy. Like I swear I knew exactly what was happening, and then like the ending happened, and I was like, wait a minute, rewind that back. Like she just like is so good at really confusing you basically really making you believe one thing, and then right in the last like few pages she switches it, or something happens to like switch it up. Yeah, I enjoyed the group home setting. The girls were very cutthroat. It was like a disaster and crazy to read about, but just the whole story was just like, it was just crazy to read. It was like very suspenseful, very interesting. The ending just wow. And the final book that I have on my favorites of 2021 is Blackout. Was it Blackout? Yeah. So this is basically a collab book by Black authors that follows this specific day in New York City where they lose power, and there's each author writes a different story, but all of these characters are connected in a way. We have some gay romances, we have some straight romances, we have all of just the mix, bisexual, everything, older, younger, everything. Adorable, like really cute. We have some girls that end up single. It just covers all the bases, and I think this was like one of the first times where I liked almost all of the short stories. I think I really enjoyed all of them except maybe one wasn't my favorite, but out of all of them my favorite was I think the library one, that one was really cute. The library one was really cute. I just have really good memories with this book, and I remember reading it and just flying through it because it just was so cute. Sometimes when like they're short stories, some fall flat and some don't, but with this one, it just was, all of them were just fun to see young black love in a book. It was just nice. I just really enjoyed it. They did a great job with that. So if you haven't read it, please do. It's very cute. And that is the final book that I have for 2021. So 2021 overall was a pretty okay reading year for me. I feel like I was more focused on like meeting my reading goal than like actually reading books that I was interested in reading. I just feel like this year, 2022, I'm just gonna focus a lot on reading books that are unread and reading books that I'm excited to read. So I'm having a great reading year so far. I've read 7 books, all of them 4 and 5 stars. So we're off to a good start, not gonna lie. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember, read a book, keep your life interesting, and I will see you next time. If you made it to the end of this video, leave a boombox, a speaker. Do they have a speaker emoji? Like a boombox emoji? Leave a boombox emoji or the apple juice emoji. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.